Today is May 22nd, 2024. My name is Bobby Goodman, and I'm interviewing via Zoom Sam Greenberg of Greenberg Smoked Turkey fame. Sam, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Greenberg smoked turkeys have been a tradition for all of our lives in the Dallas Jewish community. We're aware and sometimes over the years that the Greenberg family made it possible for kosher turkeys to be available. Sam, we'd love for you to share who was involved and how it was done before we get personally to you, but the business right now.
Okay. A small history of the company and where we came from. My grandfather, when he got to Tyler via Galveston, he had a small blacksmith shop on the corner in Tyler, downtown the square, right off the square. He had a dairy in the same location as the plant exists now. And in the corner of the barn of the dairy, he had a small smokehouse. He was also a shochet. So at the time, the small Jewish community here, people would come to him from time to time and say, could you kill me a chicken? Could you kill me a turkey, a goose, whatever their needs were. And of course, he accommodated people. And because of his upbringing, he had this smokehouse, and people would say, could you smoke me a chicken or a turkey? He had a recipe that he got from his mother. So he perpetuated that by smoking and accommodating the community here in Tyler. Well, at that time, of course, all he did was kosher, because that's what he kept kosher, and that's what he did. Over time, as his health declined, my father would help him, and then he perpetuated the smoking of chickens, turkeys, whatever, at the holiday time. I don't know the demand or the accommodation of the koshering. Of course, my father wasn't a shochet, but he would get kosher turkeys for people that needed them as the business grew. But as time went on, it became more of the kosher turkeys became more of an accommodation for larger customers. They may have a list of 30, 50 turkeys, and they needed a couple of kosher turkeys too, to accommodate their gift list. And we would do that. I found later, as I started getting more involved, that we were having a very difficult time of getting kosher turkeys from either Esther or Empire at the time. And the quality just wasn't there. It wasn't something, I actually had to turn down a truckload of turkeys from one of them one time, which did not go well. I mean, it was horrible to do. I've never turned down a load of any product coming in here for quality reasons. And to have to do that was, it hurt me to have to do it, but we had to. And then the rabbinical oversight became such an issue to try to accommodate the kosher turkeys. We finally just had to throw our hands up and say, we can't do it anymore. And that was in 84, 85, maybe 86, but somewhere in that time frame, we had to, as hard as it was, because we knew where our roots were. That's what put us in business. And as hard as that was, we just had to say we couldn't do it anymore, because we didn't want something to detract or to take away from our main business, as it turned out, which was the trafe turkeys that we put out today.
Right. So that was in 86. So, and about when did your grandfather start Greenberg Smoked Turkey?
Oh, Bobby, well, of course, it wasn't Greenberg Smoked Turkeys at the time, but My grandfather was doing this in the in the 20s.
Mm,
Um, uh, and maybe probably earlier than that. I don't know exactly when, but he had done it his whole time that he was here
I
in this
see.
country.
Very fascinating. Um, I've known you a long, long time, and I
Too long.
wasn't. Exactly. No, I never knew about the kosher end of it because it's but it is fascinating, and I could see where your grandfather and your dad would have been involved on the kosher side of it for a
Right.
while, and certainly understand. Very fascinating. Let me move a little bit towards more of a background on you, Sam, and tell me a little bit about your background, how your family came to Tyler, when just a little bit about you and your family, your background.
Well, my family, well, my grandfather came here, we believe, from Poland. Uh, Came up through Galveston and they sent him to this area. Uh, so my roots have been here ever since I was born, and my father also. You know, he was born in Tyler and never left except to go to college, and he would do stints. He went to A&M, got an engineering degree in 1932, an electrical engineering degree, and I used to always joke with him, what electricity was there in 32 that we needed an engineering degree? But anyway, uh, he worked in refineries in Kilgore, Texas, which is right down the road. I know he did work in Houston on civil engineering projects down there. Uh, my dad he had a real estate license. He sold insurance. He did all kinds of stuff. At the holiday time, he dropped everything and he spent time smoking turkeys and accommodating friends, family, and then as it grew, customers. Uh, so I was born in 58. I have a sister that was born in 47. All of us were exposed to the turkey business. We grew up with this. We grew up in Tyler and we all grew up with this. I had three sisters. Unfortunately, one passed away in her 40s, but my whole family's always been exposed to the turkey business. Uh, in its infancy, my mother and another woman that became a lifelong employee would do the mailing list on a card table in our garage. Fortunately, it progressed a little since then, and we don't have to do that. But that's everything my family did revolved around the holidays, Christmas and Thanksgiving, and the turkey business. Now you mix in there Hanukkah. You know, as it started, there were a lot of turkeys that went out for Hanukkah, and that slowly dropped off. But this was something we always did. It's as I look back, everybody knows, oh, well, Sam can't do something. It's the holidays. He's out working. I mean, people know that. Now they know any other time they could call in February. I'm up to do anything because I'm not working. But that's what our family did. We had the turkey business, and it is the best business on earth. We work like the devil, as y'all did in the goodies from Goodman's. You worked like the devil during the holiday time, and then when January got here, you took a sigh of relief. You made it through another one, and you look forward to the next one. It's kind of depressing out here when you walk through the plant on December 26th, and it's totally dead. It's quiet and it's all locked up. But that's the life that I've always been exposed to. I graduated high school in 1977. I went to the University of Texas. I got a degree in business. I stuffed as hard as I could do it. I shoved 4 years of college into 5 years, and got back to Tyler so I could go into the turkey business. It was never said that, oh, this is where you got to go. This is what I was always exposed to. This is what I was going to do. I didn't know of another job I could get and have 8 months off every year. So this is what I wanted to do. In 1980, while I was still in college, it was the summer of I'm trying to remember here. It was the summer after my sophomore year. My father had a heart attack, and I decided at that time I'd start working during the holiday season, and then I'd go back to school in the spring and summer. And that's what I did. So that was a little hiccup that caused my tenure at the University of Texas to last a little longer, but I'd still be there if I could. College was a lot of fun. It was because of folks like you. But I got back here. My father's health started declining in the mid-90s, and I just stepped in, and here we are. But this is I'm here. My two sisters are always they're a part of it too. They're always watching over it. I have the privilege of working with your nephew, Griffin Goodman, who I'm bringing up the next generation of youngsters. I've got my son here. That's a real privilege. But none of this would exist without the help of people like Tracy Listener, who's been here since '77. Since I went off to college, my dad decided that he might need somebody to help him. So he hired Tracy. His family and my family have always been close. And Tracy wanted to move back to Tyler, where his family is from. And Dad hired him, and that's the best decision I think he ever made. And we've got a staff of people here that are phenomenal, and they look after each one of these turkeys as if it's their own. Well, what more could you ask for? Because I can't answer every phone call, and I certainly can't stoke every fire and do everything in the plant. But the people we have, they honestly love this place, and we wouldn't be here without them.
Right.
Was that more than you wanted?
No, that's great. That's awesome. That's really informative. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about your childhood. I know that you had, of course, I knew your dad, and know that y'all had some really strong Jewish roots in Tyler. And tell me a little bit about how was it, your affiliation with Jewish things in Tyler, and how it was growing up in Tyler as a young Jewish young man?
Well, let me preface this by saying this is my personal this is my personal view of things as far as growing up as a Jewish kid in Tyler, Texas. I think I was on the cusp of kind of the decline of the young Jewish community here in Tyler. I'm well aware, well, especially through Tracy, who works out here, who's Jewish. He and my oldest sister are contemporaries, and I hear about BBYO and the Jewish youth here and stuff like that. That didn't exist by the time I got of that age. I had a very close friend through high school who was Jewish, Mark Rubin. His family is still here. His mother still is here, but we didn't have anything organized for the Jewish youth here at that time. It was very sketchy. I was I mean, I was well aware of my Jewish upbringing. You know, we had a large Seder every year, like everybody, and had a lot of fun having those. And we still perpetuate that. In fact, we have our Seder every year over at the listener's house. But being Jewish in Tyler was never a detriment, but it was not your identity here. You were just another kid here. That's how I felt. I was never singled out because I was Jewish, nor did I ever feel alienated because I was Jewish. I feel like my upbringing was very normal. I think if I was to if I was 10 years older, I would have more memories of Jewish functions meant for younger adults, young kids. And unfortunately, we just didn't have that when I was growing up.
Right. Did you ever, so obviously you're alluded to the fact that you didn't feel anti-Semitism. That wasn't part of the
Bobby,
lifestyle in Thailand.
Bobby, that never came up. It just didn't. And bigotry of any type in the home where I was brought up, that didn't happen. And it was never said, but you were not part of that, nor were you going to accept it as being the norm.
Right.
Now, I'm going to tell you a story. There was a black gentleman that worked for my grandfather. He started when he was 15 years old, working for my grandfather at his blacksmith shop and around the dairy when he was 15 years old. His name was Elva Cole. Subsequently, Elva had 9 children, and many of them still work here. One of them is the foreman of the plant. But let's go back. Elva told me a story one day. He said, you know, the Ku Klux Klan would have rides through Tyler. Now he told me this story. He died at 83. And it was a couple of years before he died, he told me this story. He said, the Ku Klux Klan would ride through Tyler. And it scared us, talking about the other black people in the community. And we would go to your father's blacksmith shop because nobody messed with him. These were his words. And I said, but why would you go down there? He said, because nobody would mess with him, and he would stand out on the street when they'd ride through town. And because he was the blacksmith, he knew all the horses. And he would wave and call them by name. When they're trying to ride through anonymously, he knew who they were. And he made them realize he knew who they were. Now, whether it was meant for intimidation or whatever, it was people when they're trying to hide don't necessarily do it once people know who they are. But it made a mark on Elva enough that he told me that story when he's in his 80s. And but that was how we were brought up. You didn't allow people to take advantage of someone else or anything else. Bigotry was not acceptable.
Right. You know, you said the Jewish as a school in Tyler wasn't, it was on its kind of its way out. It didn't have all the BBYO stuff. I know that you went on to the University of Texas, joined a Jewish fraternity, as I know, but in ZBT. So as you graduated, came back to Tyler. Tell us a little bit about, you got married. When did you get married?
Well, I got married real late. When I came back to Tyler, and you tend to do what your parents do. My father had roots at we have two congregations here. We have a synagogue, which is conservative, and we have a Reformed temple here. My father was always a member of both. As long as I had known, as long as I was aware of things, we were always a member of both. So when we came back to Tyler, I can't remember who it was. It was kind of odd. They approached my father and said, Sam needs to join the congregation. And I thought, well, why aren't they calling me? But anyway, I joined the synagogue, and subsequently I joined the temple. So I had dual membership in both. From time to time, the Jewish community here, when I first got back, was probably over 100 families. Now I would imagine we're pushing 75. It's dwindling. Young people aren't coming back here. I have seen that the community is because of doctors, the influx of doctors coming into town. We are seeing that we're coming up in numbers of families in the Jewish community. But back then, when I first got back, I joined both. There were several of us that would talk. Of course, now I was real young. I'm in my mid-20s, and I'm listening to people, and several of us are talking that maybe we ought to consider joining the two congregations, and that never happened. It never got any traction. Both congregations built new buildings, which that was monumental to have both Jewish congregations here in Tyler having brand new facilities and paid for facilities. But that was through the good graces of a few very affluent families that made sure that Judaism was going to be perpetuated here. But I joined both. Over time, I was the president of the Reformed congregation at Temple Bethel, Congregation Bethel. And they, I at one time, I dropped my membership at the conservative congregation, Avath Hakim. We just had a difference of opinion on some things that really struck home with me. So I'm only a member of the Congregation Bethel right now. But the congregants that we have, they're vibrant. They attend. We have a dynamic rabbi that is always at the forefront. If there's something in the news, he will address it and make our feelings be known. And that's Rabbi Neil Katz, very dynamic rabbi.
Nice. Sam, let me ask you, who was your role model?
My dad.
Yeah.
Who else? My dad. I worship my dad.
Like I said earlier, I knew your dad, and he was just a wonderful man. And
thank you.
Absolutely. What about what would you say you're most proud of?
Oh, Bobby, that's if you'd asked me 5 years ago, I don't know what I'd have answered it, but you know, my biggest job as far as the company's concerned is making sure that the turkey that's in that red and white box is the same this year as it was 40 years ago when you were a kid and your dad would bring it to the door. I don't want to change any part of it. I'm proud of that. I've got 2 kids and a wife that I adore. I'm proud of that. But now, looking back, in November of 2020, we had a fire, and it put us out of business for a season. Scared me to death. You never know if people are going to come back and if the business is going to survive. And while we're still having to deal 3.5 years later with the insurance company, we're here. Plants, the part that burnt down are totally where I had during COVID, when everything was non-existent, you couldn't get anything, couldn't get logistics, you couldn't get stuff. I rebuilt all of 2 of our freezers and shipping facilities, rebuilt 33,000 square feet in 11 months from start to finish. I had an architect here when the fire trucks were still here because I knew how imperative it was going to be to start as soon as possible. So my outlook or my feelings of what am I the most proud of? I'm pretty damn proud of being able to get this thing being down for 11 months, and that was all during COVID, and getting everything rebuilt and put back together with or without the damn insurance company. Pardon my French, but that was like I said, I've got great people working around me, but that was tough, and it was only because, and this is, I always grew up with this. It's not what you know and how smart you are. I am not the smartest kid in the room, but and at the University of Texas, I got a degree. I got a business degree, but I got a doctorate in socializing and meeting people, and I shove it into my kids. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And those relationships got this place rebuilt. And further to that is the whole business concept. We treat our customers like my grandfather did when it was only friends and family. We still do that. Up until 10 years ago, we didn't take credit cards. We charged. You call in here to buy a turkey, we trusted you. We charged to everybody. We sent them a bill at the end of the month. They may get the turkey at the first of the month. You got a bill at the end of the month. And people go, how can you do that? Well, my dad's philosophy says, he said, there are only a few people that are going out to get you. Why treat everybody like they're a criminal? Give them the turkey. They're going to pay you. And if they don't get it next year. So make sure you make a product where people want it. And if that philosophy carried through, and it's the way we treat people, it's the way the company does, it's the way I treat people, it's the way we treat all of our vendors, everybody that comes out here, the electrician, the plumbers, we treat them all right. And what did that do? When I needed them, they were all here. And they were ready to go.
Right.
They were calling, what can we do? How can we help? I said, well, I'll be calling you. but it worked. It worked.
Right. Well, obviously the tradition continues, and I know your legacy will be there too in the future. Sam, anything that you'd like to add? This is awesome.
Well, Bobby, lest we ever forget, the first turkeys that my dad shipped out, a guy called from Dallas, Texas, wanted 6 turkeys. My dad went down to a candy store, a local candy company, got a box with some straw, packed the turkeys in it, stuck them on the train, and sent them to Dallas. And that's when he said he got in the mail order business. So Dallas is an integral part of our company. We couldn't be here without them. We can't do without any of our customers. But Tyler and Dallas are too close. We're a suburb. And without the Dallas community, all the people in Dallas, we've got relatives in Dallas. We couldn't do without it. And I'm flattered and I'm thrilled that y'all would take any interest in us, but I appreciate it. And I appreciate y'all and more memorializing our company and the legacy that my parents have created.
Well, that's awesome. Sam, I can't thank you enough. We appreciate it. Love to you and all your family.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
Were you listening in?
I sure was. Well, I was doing other things too, but I happened to be at my desk when you finished. That was fantastic. Thank you both so much.
That was great, Sam.
It really was. And here in a few weeks, I'll have a copy that I'll share the link with you as well, but I'll mail you a USB with a copy of this for your own purposes, and you can share with family and friends and anybody with your company.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And by the way, I wanted so much to say, hey, you know Robert Gardner, but I didn't go into that.
Okay. Wait a second.
We'll talk about that now. Yeah.
Wait a second. I got to tell you a story. So I'm at a wedding about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Friend of my daughter and Hannah came in from New York, and she came in for this wedding, and we go to this wedding, and we go to the we go to the rehearsal dinner, and we walk in, and I said, Hannah, what's this kid's name that Rachel's marrying? His name is Myers. Okay. And I start looking around. And some of these people start looking familiar. They're Jewish, out of Dallas. And I go, oh boy, I'm going to know half the people here. Well, anyway, this guy comes up. I'm looking at where the seating chart for the rehearsal dinner, and there's some other Greenbergs there. Well, I had to go meet them.
Right.
And we sit down, and the husband comes over, and we're talking, and here comes the wife. Now, catch this. The wife comes over and sits down next to her husband, goes, and he turns and says, I want to introduce you to Sam Greenberg. And she goes, oh, the turkeys. And I said, yeah. Oh, we're always being asked if we're the turkey Greenbergs. And then she leans over to her husband and a little too loud goes, he looks just like Bob. I said, Bob Gardner? How do you know it's Bob Gardner? I said, I've been told that since I was at the University of Texas. Yeah. She goes, wait just a minute. And she runs off. And this is how my life has been ever since I was 18. She runs off and comes running back and goes, his brother was here and he just left.
Yeah.
But no, I someday, and it's going to be sooner rather than later, I'm going to come to Dallas.
We're going to go to lunch with
Bob.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and just a quick, I'll never forget the day we were all in one of those big classes at University of Texas, and I was standing next to Robert Gardner, and he goes, oh my God. And I said, what's wrong? And he looked back, he says, I just saw myself. And he was looking at you. So it's great. Anyhow, Dan, this is awesome.
My parents were at a wedding in Dallas, and he came in late, or while they were already sitting, and they came back to Tyler after that weekend, and they said, this guy walked into the wedding, we thought it was you. Now, how crazy is that? That my own parents were fooled by it. So
And
anyway,
Robert Gardner tells the story. He's on a cruise.
I know who this is
The
too.
dinner. He's at dinner, and he hear all of a sudden he hears Sam, Sam, and he's looking around. Everybody says Sam. He says, "Oh my God, this guy thinks I'm Sam Greenberg." And guess what? You're not my wife. So you're not Sam's wife. So in any event, it's unbelievable. It's uncanny.
It's
Sam, this has
crazy.
been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bobby, and I appreciate you thinking about us. Thank you a lot.
Absolutely. Thank
And,
you.
and just for the record, next door, let me see if I can turn this. That's Griffin's office. He ain't here.
He's got that Goodman gene, baby. He's
I'm
got that
telling
Goodman.
you, he's got a better schedule than me. Anyway, great talking to you. Let's
Thank
get
you,
together.
sir.
And seriously, I would love to come to Dallas and go to lunch with him.
We're gonna do it.
Okay,
You let me
Put it
know when,
together.
I'll arrange it.
thank you.
All right, take care. Thank you.